Update. Am I the a-hole if I tell my friend her boyfriend is planning to propose? Original post. My 27 female best friend has been dating her boyfriend 26 male for over 5 years. A while back, he reached out to me to help figure out ring size and a setup so he could make this the most magical day for her. Having known my friend for over 20 plus years, I know exactly how she wants her proposal to go and who she wants to be there. So I relayed all this information to him months ago via texts and over the phone. I even took the time to covertly find and confirm which ring she would love the most. A little background. My friend is incredibly family and friend-oriented, and in the past expressed to me on multiple occasions, especially during holiday season, that in the 5 years they've been together, he hasn't really made much of an effort to indoctrinate himself into her family or friendships the way she has for his. While I do generally like him, I've always felt that he is incredibly self-serving and self-focused. Recently, through a mutual friend, I found out he started a group text between his, emphasis on his, friends and his family to set up the time and date of the proposal. He has not only excluded myself, and according to the screenshots I've seen, he is doing everything verbatim I suggested he do, but he has completely excluded her family and other close friends from the event. He is planning on only having his boys and family present for the occasion, and knowing my friend, this would ultimately break her heart not being able to share this moment with her loved ones. I got heated and called him. At first he was dodging my questions, then just outright said, "This is my proposal, and I've spent enough time and money to choose how I do it. Just be happy for your friend. It's not like you're not coming to the wedding." This infuriated me, and to make matters worse, I ran into her mom and dad at the grocery store and subtly asked if they knew of any possibility she was getting engaged. They were unaware, and I know for a fact my friend has told him that he needs to ask her parents for their blessing, as she's somewhat traditional. My friend wears her heart on her sleeve, and I can predict how this event will go down when she sees all of his close friends and family and none of hers. Considering her previous sentiments about his lack of interest in her family/life, she will 100% see this as being hurtful and selfish, and I know she'll cry. To make matters worse, the location of the proposal is a whopping 30 minutes from her parents' home. I don't want to get involved in a fight or reveal the surprise. But on the other hand, I feel I owe it to my lifelong friend to help her avoid being hurt and disappointed. Maybe even helping her rethink what her future would look like, with someone who just doesn't really appreciate what she values in life. So am I the a-hole if I tell my friend her boyfriend is going to propose? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Oh hell, let the guy royally screwed up his proposal. It's not like you haven't warned him. You can't tell him anything anyway. I hope your best friend sees her intended and all his family flying the red flags. Sadly, you will be the a-hole. I agree. Let her see for herself how utterly self-centered this guy is. It will hurt her absolutely, but it will also reaffirm her beliefs that he's all about him. Don't tell your friend. I completely understand why you want to, but hear me out. Let this dude show his true colors. If you get in the middle, you may be seen as petty and jealous. Let him propose his way. And when your friend comes to you and complains, you can kindly and gently tell her that you try to get him to incorporate her friend/family. Then, you can gently ask her if she wants to spend the rest of her life with a man who doesn't honor her wants/desires. I repeat, just let this play itself out. You would be the a-hole if you interfere prior to the proposal. Do not tell her. As much as you know her and want this proposal to go as planned, it is ultimately up to her boyfriend how he wants to do it. If your friend is disappointed, then that can be her sign to discuss with her fiancé about moving forward. It is not your place to tell her or intervene at this point. Since this is the top comment so far, I'm hoping my response here will be seen by the masses. Fellow Redditors, let me make this super clear. You've convinced me tenfold not to say anything to her, and to let things play out as they should. I've done the extent of what I can by trying to reach out to him, and he decided not to listen to me. That's on him. It's not my place to initiate a fight/problem and possibly ruin things before they even happen. Trust me when I say, I am not going to go through with it. I see now that this is 1000% not my place regardless of my loyalty and relationship with my friend, and would just be making things far worse by injecting myself where I have no right to be. On a side note, I really just want you guys to understand that at the end of the day, I'm a stranger to you. But more importantly, just like you, I'm only human. Please don't make hurtful assumptions in my character or my relationship with my friend based on a very brief summary of the situation. I know as well that this is the internet, and by posting here, I've essentially invited such declarations on myself. But I came here for advice since I was admittedly operating in an emotional state. And nothing good comes from making decisions when you don't have a clear state of mind. All I ask is that you please be respectful and know that I have read and acknowledged that this has certainly earned a Yordi a-hole judgment. Please just try for a moment to understand that we all have people in our lives we care deeply for and want only the best for them. And when we worry for them, it can sometimes obstruct our judgment. This doesn't make me a bad person or friend, just utterly and completely misguided. Edit/update. I did not tell her parents. I covertly inquired if he had spoken to them yet about proposing since it's been 5 years, like in a joking way. This proposal is scheduled for this weekend. I will give you guys an update on how it goes. After so many responses, I have decided not to say anything and to let things play out. I gave him an opportunity by expressing the need to invite her parents and friends, like she always wanted, and he chose not to. That's on him, not me. Now for the full update. So on Saturday, the day of the proposal, I got a call from her boyfriend. He was screaming at me, blaming me for not showing up because I was uninvited to the proposal with her parents, because she was upset they weren't there. I was freaking slack-jawed. I told him I knew this would happen, and he says verbatim, "You just admitted you knew this would happen. So if you knew the whole time and you actually cared about her, you would have invited them." I was gobsmacked and hung up on him. Not even an hour later, I got a call from her asking me to come to her parents. According to her, this is how the situation played out. He popped the question, she said yes, and the people he invited popped out from hiding. She was bombarded by 4 of his guy friends: his mom, dad, older brother, and his sister-in-law. His parents were holding a sign that read, "Welcome to the family, Mrs." Insert his last name here. And this is where things go downhill. I did not know this before, and I thought I knew everything. But my friend doesn't want to change her last name, and she's told him that repeatedly since they got together. She's an only child from a Ukrainian family, and with everything going on with Ukraine in the last year, she's doubled down. When she saw the sign, she joked, "Mrs. his last name? I think you mean Mrs. her last name." Everyone went silent, until his mom said, "Well, the ring is already engraved. No changing it now." She takes the ring off and sees Mrs. his last name engraved on the band. Then she asked if her parents were coming. He gave every excuse. He didn't have their number, there were too many people there, he wanted to keep it private, and eventually said, "This was my proposal to you, and now my family's your family. We can just send your parents the pictures later." She took the ring off and left. That's when I'm assuming I got a call from him. She went straight to her parents. She asked them about the engagement, and they were clueless. She then asked if I knew anything. I asked if she was in the right place. She said she was. So I told her I would answer any questions she had rather than dumping everything on her. She was upset, but thanked me. She was furious when I told her about a call from him earlier and said, "Does he really think I'm that shallow?" She said it wasn't about having a perfect proposal or her parents there. It was about him making the whole thing about himself as always. And she was done feeling ignored and belittled. So this was her breaking point. She's staying with her parents currently and has been receiving texts from him. The worst one so far is him telling her she has to pay him back for the ring and for ruining his life. Right now, all I can do is be here for her. And whatever decisions she makes, I will fully support. Because as you've all helped me realize, this isn't about me. It's about her. Not my monkey, not my circus. Edit. She gave him the ring back when she took it off. I don't know what happened before, but I really hope this poor girl sees these glaring red flags and ends things with him. Basically, Opie told him what would happen, and he did it anyway. But she's still the a-hole in his eyes because she didn't go behind his back to try to sneak the friend's parents to his proposal? I'm a little lost by his complaint. Good. If you had intervened and showed up with her parents, she probably would have married him and spent a few years feeling ignored and belittled, all the while believing y'all had his back, not hers. I'm hoping that engraving the ring with Mrs. his last name, when he clearly knew she wasn't changing her name, would have still been enough. The engraving would have driven me. It makes it all about him. An engagement ring is something you wear forever. Why would you put something on it you know your partner doesn't want? What a raging narcissist. Thank you so much for the update. I've been looking for it all week. I'm so proud of your friend. It must have been so hard to take the ring off and walk away in front of all of his people. She has saved herself such hardship and trauma by nipping it in the bud. I can't believe that he thinks that she should pay for it, after he had it engraved with something he knows she didn't want. It seems that he and his family were trying to force her to take their name. I guess he'll be going shopping for a new bride now that he has a ring. Lol. I wish you and your friend much happiness. You're both strong. Huh, right? Why should she pay for the ring? It has his name on it. He's lucky she didn't throw it at his face. Last story. Am I the a-hole for wanting to invite my mom to my wife's planned activities? Me, 47 male, and my wife, 42 female, have 2 kids. A 9-year-old girl and 6-year-old boy. Both of my wife's parents have passed. Her mom about 14 years ago and her dad about 5 years ago. My wife works in the medical field and works a lot of hours. During the work week, she's typically gone for almost 10 to 11 hours and barely sees the kids in the morning and only for a couple of hours at night. My mom watches the kids in the morning for about an hour before school and then a little over an hour after school 4 times a week. So, she gets to see the kids probably more than my wife does during the school week. During summer break, my mom is usually watching the kids 3 times a week for about 8 hours a day. Now, my wife is excellent with coming up with activities to do with the kids on the weekend. Once or twice a month, it will be a planned event like Disney on Ice, see a reptile show, visit an apple orchard, see a play or musical at a local high school, etc. On several occasions, I wanted to invite my parents to some of these events, but end up getting pushed back from my wife. My wife's argument is that she barely gets to see the kids during the week and wants some quality time with them. And if my mom comes, the kids will just ignore her and want to hang out with my parents instead. In her defense, she's right. My kids love their grandma and will pretty much ignore both of us when she's present. So I see my wife's point of view. But my mom's feelings will then get hurt when she sees the photos later up on Facebook and wants to know how come she wasn't invited. Now, I'm not saying my parents don't get invited to anything, because they do. They've been on 2 Disney trips with us and plenty of other events, but the majority I feel are the smaller local events that might last an hour. I just feel like recently my mom has been excluded more. We've had 4 planned events recently and we didn't invite my parents to any of these. I brought this up with my wife, and a big argument ensued. Your mom gets to see the kids plenty during the week or when she's babysitting. My argument is that my parents are not our nannies, and them watching the kids during the week isn't exactly fun time. I told my wife I don't want to invite my parents to every event, but maybe every 3rd or 4th event, but I still get pushed back on this. I then ask, if your parents were still alive, would you be excluding them as well, or is it just my parents for some reason? I know my wife doesn't hate my parents, but I know she sometimes gets annoyed because of conflicting personalities. My mom is 67 and my dad just passed away a few months ago. Life is sometimes short, and anything could happen. I would like to see my kids spend as much time as possible with their grandparents at this fun age. I don't want to make separate activities where I specifically invite my mom because it just makes the month too busy, or we'll just end up taking the kids from my wife if she doesn't want to come with. Now for the comments. I don't want to make separate activities where I specifically invite my mom because it just makes the month too busy, or we'll just end up taking the kids from my wife if she doesn't want to come with. Sorry, but this is the solution. You just don't want to hear it because it requires work from you. If you want your mom to be able to come to outings with your family once a month, talk to your wife about 1 weekend a month being set aside for you to make plans for a fun family day that will include your mom. This will free up your wife a bit. And if she decides she doesn't want to come, well, women appreciate time away from their families too every now and again. Your wife is a grown woman who can make that choice for herself if she would prefer a day to herself or a day with her kids. Right now, you want to have your cake and eat it too. You want your wife to keep planning fun family events, but you want to force her to plan them in a way that you prefer. Nope. If you want to control who is invited to an event, you need to be the one planning it. If your wife is the one setting up activities, she's also the one who gets to decide who is invited, and if this is something she wants to do with just her family or with her mother-in-law as well. You're not wrong that it would be great to invite your mom along to your family outings, but you were wrong in thinking you should be able to force your wife to invite her to events for your family that she planned. Start planning things yourself if you want to invite your mom. You're the a-hole. Yes, this is exactly what I was going to say. Wife is clearly very busy, but still finds time to plan these fun events with her husband and kids. It makes perfect sense that she wants bonding with her to be the point of those occasions. OP needs to take some initiative, It'll take a weekend off the wife's plate and it gives him permission to invite mother-in-law, but definitely not invite a wife that mom will be there first though. Honestly, to me this sounds like OP's poor wife is raising 3 kids, not 2. I feel horrible for his poor wife to shoulder the majority of the workload for everything it seems, and then tries to pull the "if your parents were here" card. He'd have been sleeping at mommy's house if it'd been my husband for that one alone. Whoa, where did my wife carrying the shoulder load come from? That's a pretty big assumption. Yes, she works a lot of hours indeed, but I'm not just sitting around. I get the kids up and ready for school, make them breakfast, prepare their school lunches, make dinner for the whole family, get them ready for bed and put them to sleep. And after the kids are asleep, I work remotely to make up for not being able to put in full 8 hours at the office. That's 5 days a week. You're the a-hole. You're intentionally alienating your wife's bonding time with her own children because you can't say no to your mommy once in a while. Keep this up and you'll spend all of your time with just your mom and the kids every other weekend. Before I get more comments who haven't read OP's comments in the thread, please note that 1. Grandma only watches the kids once every few months, not daily. 2. OP's wife only plans these outings once every 3 weeks. OP refuses to plan his own outings to include his mother, and instead only wants to co-opt the wife's outings.